Now, at the expiration of a 2-week deadline, the meeting of the People's Democratic Party's zoning committee has ended inconclusively. Benue State Governor and Chairman of the committee, Samuel Otom, made the announcement following a 3-hour meeting on Tuesday. The committee was set up during the party's 95th National Executive Committee meeting on March 16th. The 37-member body was tasked with determining a suitable zoning formula for all elective positions in the party, particularly President, Vice President, Senate President, and House of Representatives Speaker positions. Meanwhile, just as this is being sorted out, the party has in the meantime suffered a setback as one of its northern stalwarts and a founding member, former Kano State Governor and former Minister of Defense, Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, has officially tendered his letter of resignation to the PDP. He has now joined the New Nigeria People's Party. This comes as a federal high court in Abuja also granted an ex parte motion restraining the national leadership of the PDP and the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, from dissolving the state, local, and ward executive leadership positions of the PDP in Kano State. Now, how is the PDP navigating all of these issues alongside its core duties of keeping in check Nigeria's ruling All Progressives Congress, the APC? Kwankwaso is accusing the Yochia IU-led National Working Committee of refusing to engage him on the PDP's place in Kano politics. Is this the situation with other PDP chapters?
We were not even satisfied with what was the situation during the PDP era. By the grace of God, we are opening a completely new chapter in this country. The chapter that I believe people who believe in the masses, people who believe in the people of this country, not only will congratulate us, but I'm sure they will join us to ensure that we have new Nigeria in the next dispensation.
Well, for more on this, I'm now being joined by the National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Debo Ologunagba, who joins us here in the studio to take a look at these issues. And I want to start from Kwankwaso. I mean, this is someone who has a foothold of Kano politics. A lot of people are wondering how you could lose such a golden fish just by allowing him to go like that. What exactly is the problem?
Thank you, Somna, for having me. I think the proper point to start is not, with all due respect, it's not Kwankwaso. I think we'll start about Nigeria. About the fact that we're practically in a state of emergency. And we must step back for a minute to look at the people, the innocent people that were snuffed out of life on less than 48 hours ago. One, on Saturday, while the jamboree of the APC was going on in the name of the National Convention. And secondly, less than 48 hours after, a massive terrorist attack on a rail track with many Nigerians dying. I think as a country we must have a sober reflection that is that who we are. You only play politics when there is peace. So for me and for our party, we're saddened by this development. We're embarrassed as a nation. We now know that we're going down the drain as a nation and we're falling through the cliff. And that should give us, for a second, to say, can we stop playing politics for a second and think about that, which is human being. In that unfortunate incident, so many people died. Many are injured. Many are still unaccounted for. And you feel it, that the crop of this nation is going down the drain, and we're not worried, and the government is not speaking. Doctors, lawyers, other professionals went down. So our heart as a party bleeds.
Well, the president has issued a statement. He has met with the security chiefs and all of that. I mean, that's what we expect a responsible government to actually do, and they are doing that. While we understand the position that you are as PDP, yes, what would also want to hear from you, yes, just before going to the political issues, is what sort of solutions the nation should be looking at?
Absolutely, and I think this is key for us. In situations like this, when you have a leader, they become consoler-in-chief. Those simple little aspects of things changes mindset and brings people together. You recall the US president kneeling down before a 6-year-old daughter of that man that was killed,
George Floyd.
It resonated all over the world. That is the character of leadership that's expected. And what does that do? It brings people together. Secondly, it is about unity and belief in us in this country. When people seek only power without thinking about the people, and that is the disconnect that we have right now. So for us as a party, the first thing and we seek for is to bring Nigerians back so that we can believe and trust in ourselves. We don't want to do 97.5%, like President Muhammadu Buhari said then. So for us, it's about unity. And then having the people to have ownership, a buy-in into security, because security is a two-way thing. The people must believe in the government, and then they can provide information. Here, because there's a lot distrust, and because this government has so polarized Nigerians that we have mutual distrust of ourselves, therefore, you can't have the information that you need to have this issue. In any event, you recall the plane attack on Saturday. One man was killed, a farmer. He was the man who was providing information. The only reason he was doing that was because he believed in this country. But what did we hear about his name? No. The president and the APC government went on vacation.
Well,
and that is why we
that was actually the date of the National Convention, and that program was already on.
And nobody mentioned this, sir. It was online. It was real time. And I think
you think the APC is sleeping on duty?
Absolutely, abdication of duty, not just sleeping.
Well, you actually said that the president didn't make any effort. We didn't see the president visiting Kaduna, but we saw him sending his vice president. And there have been this criticism that the president shouldn't have also attended the Super Eagles match yesterday, despite the fact that it's Nigeria-Ghana playing.
Again,
that didn't show some good conscience. This is the
challenge, my brother. This is the challenge for us about leadership. Which president watches a football match when people are dying under his watch? What is the role of the president under Section 14(2)(b) of the Constitution that says the welfare and security of the people shall be the primary goal of government? Yes, football is good, but you only play football when there is peace. I'm not sure anybody is playing football right now in Ukraine. So why? Kaduna State, and this is why we've been saying consistently that this president has so much abdicated his duties that he's emboldening terrorists every day. You remember in January, he was scheduled to go to Zamfara. That visit would have bolstered the morale of the security agencies and probably give them impetus. That's what it means, like commander-in-chief and consular-in-chief. But he dropped the ball, like he has always done.
I think we just have to come back to the political issues now.
Correct.
Because even the PDP faced these issues when it was in government. And the insecurity has been with us for more than a decade now. Tell us about why you're losing very top party members like Kwankwaso. I mean, you heard his grievances actually, before going into other issues.
Again, as a party, we recognize the person of the former governor, the former minister, Alhaji Kwankwaso. We do. However, you must listen to us as a party. We have structures. This is a party that is an organic party. We're not like APC, that is a special purpose vehicle, which was hurriedly put together, and they lied to fuel it, and then deceive Nigerians. The PDP is an organic party, formed based on vision and mission and principles. And it says in his name, peoples. We recognize that we're several peoples, but we can come together as a people, as a nation, and run together. Now, in the source of that, in the constitution of the party, very carefully crafted, you have every segment of the party being involved. And we have structures. We have the Board of Trustees, we have the NEC, we have the National Working Committee, we have the Governors Forum, we have even former Governors Forum. To tell you how expansive we can be. We have women wings that we consult with. And of course, Alhaji Kwankwaso is well respected. However, we must not take people's rights to choose away. It's a constitutional right.
Well, he specifically accused your NWC, the National Working Committee, of refusing to engage with him since last year when the structures in Kano State were dismantled. It looks like it was targeted at him to usurp the party from him. That's what he's saying. Since PDP doesn't have a serving governor in Kano State.
Okay, let me just say this, and clearly to the whole world. We have a robust internal dispute resolution mechanism with PDP. And I'll go back a little bit to what this NWC did upon coming in. We recognize there were issues in some state chapters. Ekiti was specific, Osun was specific, and because we have off-season elections on those days, we were careful. And what did we do? We set up a special committee comprising of the NWC, of the Board of Trustees, of the National Working Committee, and of course, the Governors Forum, and lastly, the National Assembly leadership, to have like 24-man to talk into these issues. That is almost a standing committee. Only last week, and this was considered yesterday at the NWC meeting. Only last week, the stakeholders in Kano State were invited, including Alhaji Kwankwaso. His members came. The last governorship candidate of Kano, who is an ally of Alhaji Kwankwaso, was present. The deputy governor candidate at that time was present. These are all his allies. They came in, and we had conversation. We're discussing. Remember, the reconciliation is not a 100-meter sprint. It's a marathon. And as you proceed on that, you make issues, you ask questions, you make give and take.
So you did your best to actually retain Kwankwaso.
Absolutely, because we know he's an important
He was hell-bent on going. Because, I mean, I saw Governor Nyesom Wike even visiting him at his residence in Abuja. So
when he lost his brother, you saw many of us from the National Working Committee in droves went to visit him because we know he's an important person.
Well, is it because he's afraid that he may not clinch the presidential ticket of the PDP? That's why he has to leave.
That's for you to ask him. I am not running for president. I don't know whether he's running for president, but I do know that as a party, we honored him. We did everything. As late as last week, many members of our party in Kano came, major members, and we're already making it.
All right. I'll just ask you to hold on there because we're going on a short break. When we come back now, talk about the zoning formula, the presidential party ticket issues, and all of that. You're still watching the Arise interview, plenty more still ahead. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Arise interview. I'm Somna Sambo, and my guest is still the National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Debo Ologunagba, who is a lawyer, a former Federal House of Representative members, and then, of course, someone who has been able to actually break through certain issues, and he's been given this responsibility of being the one who will be taunting the All Progressives Congress, and then, of course, trying to see how the PDP can come back to power. Now, Debo, let's talk about the zoning committee in the PDP. Governor Otom has been accused of having an interest already. I mean that it looks like Governor Nyesom Wike is very close to him. Do you think a lot of party members will believe in any outcome of that committee, considering what has happened, considering that they failed to meet their 2-week deadline, and we're now hearing it may come out, the outcome of that may come out in April, first week of April?
Again, I mean, thank you very much. First of all, I'm not here to taunt APC.
Yeah, but that's your job, actually.
No, my job is not to taunt them. My job is to confront them, have a conversation war with the liars. So it's not about taunting. I mean, it's about bringing the facts.
When you refer to them as people who play deceit and all of that.
No, they do that because they have pyramid of lies. You remember that? I mean, all these things, they have that. They bring in bogus claim about performance. But aside from that, let's get back to PDP, because that is where the hope is right now. Now, like I said earlier, and I referenced in my previous conversation with you, that the PDP has an organic party that has structures. And it has an internal mechanism that is almost robust and almost seamless to resolve differences. Because what is a political party? It's a combination of several interests, whether political, whether regional, whether tribal. But what you do is to bring them together. And the capacity of any party to resolve those differences is what makes it a party. And that's why you can see that play out in PDP regularly. At the National Convention, if we may just reference that, there were 21 positions contestable. Only 3 were contested. What does that mean? It means people were able to say we can subsume our interest into the bigger interest of the party. And in the overall interest of Nigeria, we were able to do that. Contrast that with the jamboree that happened under the APC last Saturday.
Well, it was almost a similar thing there. I mean, borrowing from the consensus and all of that. This,
consensus should devolve from the people, not imposed on the people. And we can see the fallout. We're already seeing that already.
Yeah, but we're not seeing the same consensus on the issue of zoning in the PDP.
Hang on, I'm laying a foundation to that. The consensus came from below, and then it will dovetail. That's what we have done. The NEC, in his wisdom, at his 95th session meeting, decided that because this issue has been pending, and it's right on the Bunsen burner, what do we do? Going by our tradition of reconciling ourselves, of talking, of negotiating, what have we done? We put up a committee that is fully representative of Nigeria, 37 of them. What does that mean? Every interest is taken care of, every consideration, and they brought them together. Now they are considering that. The statement you made that it's a deadlock, well, I don't know. I'm not aware that. You probably have more information on myself, and I doubt if you would do on PDP than myself.
Well, they were meant to submit their report in 2 weeks' time, yes, and they are unable to do that.
You see,
and it doesn't look like they may even do that next week.
That is in the realm of conjecture. It does not look like, according to you, that's your own subjective. But this is a work in progress. I referenced that earlier. This is a committee of people coming together, and the conversation, discussion. They can come back and say, hey, we are ready with our report tomorrow. What would you then say? They are working. They're working on all the issues. They're discussing it. And of course, it's in tandem with our processes as a party that we consult widely so that when we take a decision, we all have ownership of it. So that's what we're doing.
And that's why I ask you that. Do you think that people who are in the committee and generally PDP members will want to trust the outcome of it, considering the relationship between Governor Samuel Ortom and Nyesom Wike, which some, even of your governors, have accused of owning the party? I mean, Governor Obaseki said Nyesom Wike looks like he owns the PDP and acts that way.
I like that word again. Looks like he owns it. Looks like nobody owns the PDP. That's why it's called People's Democratic Party. People's. We all own it. But we all have our interests and we can defend it. I'm not here to comment by people and their views, but what I know as a party, that PDP is for the people, and every one of us will have ownership. In any event, the 37-member committee is a creation of NEC. It is for the NEC to accept, to receive the report, consider it, and make a determination. Now, so it will be premature to begin to say, oh, people may not trust it.
But when you have people like Atiku Abubakar, people like Bukola Saraki, Tambuwal and all of that buying forms, including yes, Peter Obi and all of that, isn't that a violation of the outcome? What outcome will members be waiting for? Again, so what will now happen to people who have already bought their forms for the presidential ticket of the party?
I think just step back a little bit and so, when you have a process, when you have a party that is organized, that has a process, that have systems, what happens? One, we have our rules and guidelines. We have our constitution. Above all, we have the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that we all these other documents are subject to. In that constitution is that every Nigerian is free to aspire to any political office they choose. It will be premature for us to begin to say you can't take form.
But why did you start selling forms when you haven't resolved the issue of zoning?
The point is that even if you resolve the issue of zoning, you can't preclude anybody from taking the form, because in the National Convention, you recall, we agreed in the Southwest, the Deputy National Chairman South and the North and the youth leader, these were positions that were contested. Even though the party has said, well, we have our internal processes, we have zoned it, we have consensus, and people have the right to say, no, I'm not interested. We can't deprive them, because we're a party of law, we're a party of constitution, and we respect people's right to say, you know what, I'm going to contest. Recall in 1999, the presidency was zoned to the south. The late Alhaji Abakarimi took the form and contested.
Yeah.
so that's the
same thing even in 2003.
So our party has a process.
Yeah, because that's a constitutional right.
Exactly.
Based on what you have said.
You cannot abridge it. Okay. You can't abridge the constitutional right.
So very interesting. Now, if you zone the presidential ticket of the party to the south, for example, yes, will you be asking the likes of Atiku Abubakar, Tambuwal, Saraki to step down, go back and collect
the
monies for your forms.
You're telling me to preempt what the outcome of the committee will be. And I'm not competent to do that.
Okay.
I can't begin to assume what may not happen, may or may not happen.
Okay.
So the party have a structure, they have a system, and we follow our rules and our guidelines.
And that's a thorny issue indeed. Now let's go to the allegations by Lai Mohammed, Minister of Information, that the PDP is planning to sabotage this government, blackmail President Buhari's administration and all of that. What did you make of that press conference by Lai Mohammed on Monday?
I try as much as possible not to get personal. But it is sad that the Minister of Information of this country will say that. And I have one answer to that. When lies and propaganda has been elevated to act of governance, every truth that is said begins to acquire the character of a rebellion. When we confront them with the truth, it looks like, oh, they are rebellious. You tell me, what is it that we have said that is not correct? Is it that the unemployment has not gone to 3%? Is it that the price of petrol is not moving between 400 and 500? Is it that diesel is not 850 naira today? Is it that the economy is not collapsing? Is it that our debt profile has not gone crazily up and is still counting? Is it that unemployment has not moved from 7.3 to 33% and counting? Is it that the dollar price has not moved from 198 to 550 plus X, where X can be anything tomorrow? What have we said? Is it that the rice, they said, oh, there's food abundance? Why can any leadership be so disconnected with its people? How can they be so inhumane? How can they not feel the pulse of the poor people?
Yeah, I mean, just on the day when he did that press conference and was telling Nigerians are free to travel by rail and all of that.
Yeah.
Just
and the next day, so that tells you that that's of 4 promises. You know what? The APC should recognize them, that every lie has an expiry date. It's like that number. The lies of APC has expired. Nigerians know better now.
Yeah, but you can also take it away from them that they've done well in terms of infrastructure and all of that, putting several things in place.
Again, when they own infrastructure that they never started up, I can tell you this.
Well, can one government start setting infrastructure?
Absolutely, government is a continuum, but you must recognize whoever starts something. The railway system today, you know, was started by the PDP. The digitalization that you and I enjoy today, can hear all over the world, it was by PDP. The bringing Nigeria out of debt was by PDP, and they're taking us back. The reforms in our Greek sector was by the PDP. The banking reforms that strengthened our financial system was by the PDP. The foreign investment that came in under us, Nigeria was #1 destination in Africa, and 26 globally in terms of the destination and economy.
So why did Nigerians vote you out if you had all of these statistics?
I just said that before. They came in as an SPV, a special purpose vehicle, ready only to scrap, and they went with lies. And the capacity of lies is there. And now they have done something now, which is very painful. The APC has now weaponized poverty. They make people so poor that they've turned poverty into a weapon of mass destruction. Now, people stop thinking logically because they're poor. And it is sad. That is the thing that PDP say no. At our time,
okay. And now, very quickly before we go, 2 questions for you. Why do you think Nigerians should trust the PDP again with power? And then secondly, what do you make of Senator Abdullah Adamu, who used to be your member, in fact, a secretary of the Board of Trustees, chairman of Nigerian Governors Forum, now the national chairman of the APC? What do you make of him?
What I make of him is not as important as what I make about the hope that PDP represents for Nigeria. We just read out some of the records that we have here. And Nigerians could just have a deep breath for a second and say, am I better now in 2023, 22 than I was in 2015 in terms of my economic indices, in terms of particularly security? Now, look just for a second, think about it. You can't go to Kaduna State now by road, by air, or by rail. How do we get it?
And there's no sea to go there.
Absolutely. You probably will fly. I don't know how you're going to do that. You go through the other means. We don't know.
Okay.
However, it's on record. And these are records that are verifiable about what PDP did. So what we say, yes, did we make mistakes? Yeah, we did. But we recognize that. And that's why we started with the
okay, very quickly on Abdullah Adamu, because I'm being told my time is up.
I'm sorry, I wish you had more time. Abdullah Adamu is a handicapped individual, not physically, but morally and legally. There is a 149 count charge against him, and he was arraigned by EFCC. And then they brought in technicality and the case is pending. The good thing, as a lawyer, I can tell you, time does not run against the state on crime. So the fact that he becomes the puppet chairman of APC today is not the fact that he can be covered in perpetuity. Time will run out. Secondly,
very briefly.
Yeah, and I'm sorry about that because but the painful thing that this is a man whom the presidency, to tell you how complicit they are in corruption, they came out to say he has repented. I do not know when repentance guarantees the sinner or the criminal to keep the process of crime. So we're calling on the chairman of like Adamu Abdullahi to return the 15 billion and that have been stolen from Nasarawa State, so that the people that have been pauperized, the kids that have been out of school by reason of that infraction, should be allowed to leave.
Well, unfortunately, he will definitely be in dilemma because the thing is that some APC members have refused to accept him as their national chairman, saying that he still has more PDP blood in him than APC. So it's a very tough situation for Abdullah Adamu, but we can only wish him well as the new national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, because he actually assumed that office today, where he received the flag of the party from the former national chairman, Memala Buni. Well, you've been watching the Arise interview with Debo Ologunagba here, who we must thank for being on the show. Thanks so much for being here.